What's up, team? This is Mr. Ritual here. It's good to see you again. Today's lesson topic is drum roll. Practicing strong writing habits. It's a very general topic, so let's get more into detail with our objectives for practicing strong writing habits. Our objectives this week are, we have a content and a language objective. Our content objective is that we will demonstrate command of the conventions of standard English capitalization, punctuation, and spelling when writing. And our language objective is to write responses that demonstrate this command of standard English grammar. So rather than learn a particular new skill, this week in our responses, starting this week and from here on out, I want everyone to focus on getting in the habit of polishing your responses before submitting them. So that's what this lesson is all about. And in doing so, we are going to learn about 3 grammar tools that we have at our disposal. The first one is the spelling and grammar check tool, which I'm sure many of you are already familiar with. The second one is underlined words and phrases in documents. Well, what are those underlined words and phrases? What does the underlining mean exactly? And finally, we're going to learn how to properly cite titles of works. So the first 2 are actually going to go hand in hand. So what I'm going to do here for just a moment is I'm going to exit out of this. 1 second, please. Here we go. Okay. And what I'm going to do, team, I'm just going to open up an empty Google Docs document. Okay. So here I am, just a blank, untitled Google Docs document. And of course, for those of you who already know, to access the spelling and grammar check tool, we're going to go right to the toolbar and find tools, click on it, and we see it's the very first option, spelling and grammar check. And if you notice, it even gives you a shortcut on your keyboard that you can use. Get in the habit, learn that command, and get in the habit of using it for every assignment that we submit. I've kind of unofficially announced this past week, and after I announced it, that's when I started docking points for too many grammatical errors. Now I want to officially make this a strong writing habit. So anytime you see, or anytime you are submitting assignment, go right here at the end, just before you submit. So let's say I have a completed assignment, okay? And I need to spell check it, okay? So I'm going through my assignment and we see I have some statements here, some responses to questions. And we notice I have an underlined blue phrase, or blue underlining and red underlining as well. So you can notice when we talk about underlined phrases, we're talking about the wed and blue lines that you see here. Now, what do the wed and blue lines mean exactly? Well, the red lines, and by the way, how's this for some irony? Notice how the blue is wed and the wed is blue. Okay. When you see a red underlining, that means that there's a spelling, a misspelling, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, because when you see an underlining like that, you want to click on the word and you notice it offers a suggestion. And in fact, its suggestion was correct. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it and it automatically corrects that misspelling. But now let's go over to here. And I think these just changed colors. But if it was still blue, that would mean there is a grammatical error rather than a misspelling. And you can see sometimes it changes because the automation of this spelling and grammar check is trying to figure out what the problem is itself. So let's go ahead and click on the suggestion here. We can see wed and the, okay? So obviously in this case, we're just way off from spelling it correctly, that we need to do some serious proofreading and go in there and fix it ourselves. Okay, and there we have a nice, well-written, grammatically and spelled correctly sentence, spelled correct sentence. Okay, let's take a look at this one here. What are you doing yesterday? Now notice we have a blue line. So again, that means that there is a grammatical error, right? It's not a spelling error. It's not a red line because R is spelled correct in this case. But what's the problem with this question? What are you doing yesterday? If you guessed that the tenses are in disagreement, you guessed correct. Nice job. Because yesterday is past tense, are, and are is present tense, they are in disagreement. So we need to change one of those. In this case, we could change, click on the suggestion, are to were. So what were you doing yesterday? If we undo that, Command Z, if we wanted to change that, maybe we didn't mean yesterday, maybe we meant today. Either way, we need to make sure, in this case, that the tenses are in agreement. Okay? Now, let's try this. Okay. Now notice, I just typed in this sentence, my favorite color is blue. And there's no underlinings of red or blue, but this is still incorrect. Obviously, we all know how the color blue is spelled. I have it confused with the past tense of blow in this sense, right? So my favorite color is blue. Again, no indication of an error, yet there's a clear error. So what does that say about the spelling and grammar check tool? While it catches most errors, it does not catch all, okay? It ain't Pokemon. So you got to go through and you really have to practice writing the strong writing habit of reading your document through, okay? Using your prior knowledge in spelling and grammar as well as the tool. Again, it's a tool to add to our toolbox, not something to rely 100% on. Okay, good. So that covers the spelling and grammar check tool and also the underlinings of red or blue. Okay, again, if it's red, there's a misspelling. If it's blue, there's a grammatical error. I'm going to go back to the presentation now. 1 second, please. So there we have those grammar tools. Now let's talk about how to cite titles of works. As you all know, we've been citing textual evidence. And again, when we say cite, we mean quote. And we must correctly cite titles in our works, whether it be the first agreement, the 4 agreements, or the autobiography of Malcolm X. Whatever we choose to cite, we must cite it correctly. So here's how to do it. Typically, when we talk of 2 titles, or of titles team, we're talking about 2 different types. You can see we have complete works. And when we think of complete works, we think of those as long works. And those include books, movies, show titles, right? Friends, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the 4 agreements. Our other type of titles are parts within a complete work. And we can think of those as short works. So chapters of a book, scenes of a movie, episodes of a show, the one where Joey and Rachel fall in love, articles, in the fourth agreement of the four agreements. General rule, for complete long works, books, movies, shows, you want to italicize the titles. So the four agreements should be italicized. Armageddon should be italicized. Stranger Things should be italicized. Whereas chapters from the four agreements, the first agreement, second agreement, third agreement, scenes from Armageddon should all have quotation marks around them. So again, complete long works, italicized, incomplete short works, parts within a complete work, quotation marks. So know the distinction, okay? And I want to, so again, this week we are practicing writing strong, practicing our oral communication skills. We're practicing strong writing habits in the effort to polish up our responses before we submit them. One of the most important ways of becoming a great writer is to submit works that have been proofread carefully and spell checked. So that's what we're going to do this week, in addition to the skills that we are currently building. Thank you for watching. I'll see you back in class.